Okay. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. Nice to see you. Let's see, what shall we talk about today? Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Let me warm you up then. Would you like me to turn on the heater? No? Okay. Let's see. Chan meditation is one of the most powerful training techniques we have in Buddhism, okay, to train our people. The training in Buddhism is important because we need to bring our people to a level where they can be taught. Meaning that before those levels, at each level you have, you can be taught so much, you can absorb so much. This analogy is like the roots in a tree. The bigger the roots, the more it can absorb the nutrients and water, right? So that's why it's a physical limitation, if you will. Okay, there's so much you can learn. Okay, and so Chan meditation is a way to help you develop your root structure, you will, so that it spreads horizontally as well as vertically. Okay? Horizontally so that you can reach out and grab more, okay, of the good nutrients near you, and deeper into the earth, because that's where all the types of nutrients are also available for your use, that are good for you. Okay, so this is the Chinese secret. This is Mahayana secret, where we quietly use Chan in the very imperceptible way to train our people. Okay, so that the teachers, the great teachers like my master, my Chinese master, Master YongHua, can recognize that you are ready to be trusted with the Buddhist wisdom, if you will. All right, and so it's a natural process where these great teachers will teach you in a way that you cannot understand or recognize how they do it. All right? Because the nature of teaching is that, the nature of learning is that, unlike worldly learning, where you can gauge by the books, by the diplomas, by the recognition from people, by the kind of money you're making, by the raises you're getting, by your performance evaluation, all those things, okay? How do you measure, how do you gauge, how do we measure our people, okay? It's not along those worldly criteria at all, okay? It's about what? The one thing that I observe, because I've been taught a lot of people the last 15 years and brought them from very low level to very, very high level. Okay, this is why we continue to do this, because the more I teach, the more people come, the more I learn from the people who come to our temple. The more fascinating it is, the training process. It's because if you know what I'm doing, okay, I will not be able to help you develop your root structure at all. Okay, it goes for you when you're a teacher, you teach at school or at universities, it's the same thing. If the students know what you're up to, what you're trying to do for them, it's not going to work. Why not? Does anyone know? Why not? Because in particular in our spiritual side of life, of knowledge, of learning, okay, the emphasis is to develop the goodness in your heart. That's our purpose. Okay? It's not measured, our progress is not measured by money, by recognition, but about how good your heart becomes, how better it becomes. Okay, so the magic of the process is that if you what I observed from the way the Chinese did it, do it, is that the environment and the process that happens invisibly to you has a way of refining your heart so that your heart becomes kinder, more compassionate, okay, and you're truer to yourself, okay, and so that's why I notice, when you bring the children to our temples, whether it's here or down south and anywhere, it turns out you just observe the children. They're happy, they're happier, they're freer, they can be themselves, okay, because they're not judged. Because worldly people are too judgmental. They say, you're not Vietnamese enough, you're not Chinese enough, you're not, Caucasian enough, you're not Italian enough. All the excuses. It's one of my fears, by the way, that our temple is small, but what I'm afraid of is that the people that you come here regularly, and all of a sudden become like, unless the newcomers are just like you or must get into the fold, they're not welcome. No, we should be able, as a public place, be able to serve all kinds of people and be able to embrace people who are different from us, including evil people. Don't need to be afraid of evil people. Do not need to be afraid of people who are different from you, who are not as good as you, especially the one who are so bad, okay, so irreverent, so disrespectful, so untruthful. We can embrace them all, okay, and tolerate them as who they are, accept them who they are, and that comes from the goodness in your heart. And that's a test for you right there, okay? So I discovered throughout the years that, I give you an example of the story of this lady here, Vietnamese lady, boat people. She nearly died escaping Vietnam by boat. They had no water for weeks, no food for weeks. It's like, I don't know you ever fasted at the point where you have no water for weeks. It's the water that you crave so much. It's no longer the food. It's just like you're so thirsty and you have no energy. So you're just lying there and waiting to die and seeing people around her die left and right. And somehow she survived, okay? And So she came here and managed to come to California and eke out a living doing and become a nail technician. She's very good at that. Okay, and the customers love her because she doesn't speak much English. Doesn't really not that well educated. Doesn't read or anything, but the customer love her because she still has this smile and she cares. The way she touches her customer's hands shows how much she cares, how gentle she is, how good she is at she does, and so forth. And she always has this smile on her face, and a very clumsy smile in a way because she can't really connect to people at all. And she came to our temple for a long, long time now. She started coming to Lu Mountain Temple, not only to learn meditation, mind you, and that's too much for her. Meditation, yuck. Just trying to survive, make it through another day, okay? And so she would come to our Sunday classes. So we do recite the Buddha's name, and in the afternoon we lecture in sutras. Okay, and Buddhist scriptures. Couldn't understand much, okay, but the reason she kept on coming is because her deceased father appeared in her dream and says, "Hey girl, I want you to come to the temple. You hear?" And that's it. So he said, "I'm coming because my dad, my deceased dad, my late dad told me to come. That's it." So her life very simple, and so for over 10 years, she would come on Sundays, okay, regularly. Didn't speak much. I didn't even talk to her. Gave her no instructions at all, okay. And she wanted to be left alone. I said, I don't know anything. I'm afraid to offend people. So I'm going to stay in my corner here because I'm supposed to be here, okay? So listen. And over time, she began to enjoy the recitation. She saw Wan Yin floating in the air in the Buddha Hall, Lu Mountain Temple, okay? Or she would see light and so forth, and see all kinds of things. And lo and behold, over time, she began to enjoy the lectures, the sutra lectures. Couldn't understand much, but enjoyed the stories, the jokes, and the casual, the light things. She really enjoyed that. And after over 12 years plus, she reached first stage arhats with no personal instructions whatsoever. She just came and participated. That's it. Okay, yeah. And she survived. I noticed she survived. She survived so long because she really has a good heart. Deep down, she's a very good-hearted person. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to tell you is that, number one, for you to be able to come to a place like this is very difficult. You stop yourself. I'm warning you. You're stopping yourself because you're too smart. You say, it's not a good use of my time. I don't know what's going on. It's too hard, too difficult. I'm too busy, and so forth and so forth. You yourself stop from coming. Okay? And have you seen that woman? She is so mean to me. What kind of Buddhist person is that? What kind of temple is this? So you stop yourself. Okay, that's number one. Okay, and number two, people quit. If they can come, they don't survive the tests. The people who are mean to you at our temple is a form of test. Okay, because if you cannot tolerate such people, then you have no patience whatsoever. Okay, and those of you who are getting some good stuff from this, isn't that more important than putting up with some unpleasant people. That's part of the life experience. If you only are surrounded by pleasant people, people you get along with, you never grow. Agree or not? It's the people who give you a hard time that will help you grow a lot quicker. And then one person, these people who fail that test is, the one person they can't get along with is, guess who? Huh? Yours truly. Because I can be very evil to them. Okay? So that's why yesterday at lunch I bragged about one of my students, a white student, a Caucasian student. I mean, I'm Caucasian students. I've been mean to him for over 10 years, and he survived. Okay, and so if you want to know about how evil I can be, talk to him. He has plenty of things to relate to you. Okay, and after he puts up with my being so evil and so mean to him, so unfair to him, how can you harm him anymore? How can the rest of you harm him anymore? Huh? You can be so unfair to him, so mean to him, but you cannot be as mean as I am, I assure you. I'm evil. Okay? I can be so evil. You wouldn't believe I could be wearing this monk's clothing. Okay? So, to stick around, to survive these tests, okay, will naturally help you improve. Increase your root structure, if you will. Okay, and that's what happened to her. No Chan training, no meditation, no interest whatsoever. Okay, and that in itself is a form of Chan training. Who needs a full lotus? Okay? Whatever it takes to make your heart nicer, gooder. Okay? That's Chan meditation. Okay? And in particular, okay, what she has is much easier than you. Because what we ask you to go through is the full lotus. And this young lady here struggled so much when she came to Blue Mountain Temple. And I used to laugh at her. And I said, you see, when she reaches 45 minutes, she started doing what? Do you remember in? I publicized, yeah, she was doing a lot of heavy breathing for 15 minutes. Made fun of her. She didn't like it at all. So she quit. All right. So unlike the other, like the following day, tomorrow on Sundays, the program is a lot lighter for people who do not wish to be trained or do not want to go through this harder training program here. But the Chan training program, what's interesting about it is that every time you do Chan, you will come up with something that is universal. What is that? Not heavy breathing, but failures. You fail because it's too painful for you. It's to whatever reason, excuses you give yourself to quit. All right? So if you look at it, if you want, you're looking for principle behind it. What is the principle behind it? Go ahead. Black.
I think it's to build resilience.
Very good. Makes you more resilient. But this pertains to your profession as well. YouTube question.
This is from San Jose Daniel. Master YongHua set up way places so they recite medicine Buddha in the morning, Shakyamuni Buddha in the afternoon, and Amitabhas in the evening. I've been practicing this, or at least attempting, but I've made up my mind about being reborn in Amitabha's Pure Land. So because I would like to one day enter Amitabha's recitation samadhi, I was wondering if I should only recite Amitabha's name now.
No, you don't have to worry about that. Just keep what you're doing, and then eventually you come to our Buddha recitation. That's very conducive for you entering that the Buddha recitation samadhi. All right? So don't worry. Continue. Don't think too much. Okay? So what is the principle behind making you fail so often? Because you run to a wall because it's only so long you can sit because it hurts too much. Whether it's 40 minutes, 55 minutes, or 3 hours, or 10 hours, eventually you have to quit because it's. What is the principle? Yes, green.
Master, is it that we just have to keep trying?
Keep trying, okay, very good. Yeah. I would like to offer you a little bit more elegant phrase that sounds better. Because you fail small so that you win big. Your failure now is preparing you for bigger things, for bigger success. So your job as a teacher, my job as a teacher, okay, is to encourage you not to quit. At the same time, I need to torture you. At the same time, I need to encourage you not to quit. That's why it doesn't make sense. Is that clear? You have to be tortured. You have to be put to the test. You have to fail. Okay? Miserably. The more miserably you fail, the quicker you improve. Because that failure right there is paving the way for you to be a better person, for your heart to develop. The heart develops much better from your failures than from your success. Think about it. The more successful you become, the more egotistical, more full of yourself you become. Okay? So even when you're successful, even if you're a king, you're an emperor, you still need to fail. Okay? In order for you to become a better emperor. Agree or disagree? I want you to think about it. Don't ever let failures get you down. Okay? Because for people like you, I'm looking at all of you, okay? You're destined to do bigger things with your life. You hang in there long enough, like that lady. It's a natural process of refining your heart. And your root, as you hang around there and you endure these tests and the smaller failures, your roots will become more dense and deeper. That's why you can grow a lot stronger and faster. You too, go ahead.
Master, which one is better, listening to sutra or reciting mantra when we sit, or nothing at all?
All the above. That's our Chan. Our Chan is not like the Koreans or the Chinese who advocate you should do the Hua To, or you should, like the Tibetans, you should recite exclusively mantras, or you should be like the Hinayana who say, breathe, like in, probably Hinayana person of past life. Or you go there and sit there and say Om. Yeah. That works too, by the way. All the above. Okay? Why? It's because each method is helpful depending on circumstances. For example, one of these days, you go camping. Anyone camping? See, one person here. Okay. Hiking, two. You see, hiking. Okay, definitely. Okay, and you happen to be tired, and your body is a bit tired and achy, and you say, okay, let's get some rest. And the best way to recover quickly is to meditate. Okay, so you sit down, cross your legs, you meditate. You happen to be there by a stream, so the water trickling down, okay, and the running through and making the water rushing noises, okay. In that environment, if you try to empty your mind, it's not that easy because your ears are always hearing the noise of the water. The noise is changing, okay. So that method of emptying your mind is being obstructed by the sound, the noise around you, okay? And the energy of that environment is a moving energy, okay? Therefore, for you to try to be still is counterintuitive. It contradicts the nature of the environment. So, for example, in that type of environment, you're better off reciting a mantra, reciting a sutra, reciting Buddha's name, so that it flows with the environment. You see that? You blend into the environment instead of fighting it. Make sense? Whereas you sit in a place where it's totally quiet, no birds, no bees, no nothing. So then in that case, you should be emptying your mind and just drop the thoughts. Maybe concentrate on your breathing. Okay? So depending on the circumstances, we have all sorts of methods you should be practicing. Okay? Don't be stuck on anything. Being stuck on say, this is the best method, okay? That's not Chan at all. You're too inflexible. Okay? For example, in some cases, you feel depressed. You feel, oh my God, I feel so bad. My life is so hard. I'm not happy. I make a lot of money. People like me, but I'm not happy. People respect me, but I'm not happy. Okay? eventually you learn about these depression attacks, especially when young people nowadays. A lot of young Japanese, young Koreans, young Americans are killing themselves because they're depressed. Okay? Those thoughts of harming yourself right there, you should immediately recognize it's not you. Because we don't harm ourselves. Anyone is planning on harming yourself at all? I mean, not me, but raise your hand. See, it's not us. That thought of, say, let's jump off the cliff, jump off a bridge, okay, jump in front of a bus, okay, that's not us. This is not how our ego functions. Our self, our ego, it says, me, I'm the best, okay? So I'm not going to destroy myself. Your ego doesn't do that. So it's very simple. When are we going to teach our children or people? When will psychologists teach their clients that those thoughts of harming themselves, of wanting to kill themselves, is not you? Okay? So when you recognize that, you have those thoughts that arise, you recognize that, you should recite mantras. You should recite one year's name and say, if the mantras doesn't work, then you recite one year's name and say, I try to get rid of these thoughts, but I can't. So one yin Bodhisattva, Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, Medicine Master Buddha, please help me get rid of these thoughts because I'm helpless against these thoughts. Okay? So you should recognize that and you use these tools that's available in Chan. That's why Chan is very, very flexible to help you overcome your tests. Those thoughts are another form of test for you, that's all. If you know you can recognize the type of tests, there are things you can do to pass those tests. That's all. That's how you improve. If you don't know how to, if you can't pass these tests, okay, then you are entrapped. You'll be stuck. That's all. All right. So that's why the Chan meditation we teach you is very flexible. It has plenty of tools, and so which how come we don't teach you? We teach you when there's a need for it, because we're not stuck on teaching you a lot of things either. Okay, if you have no problem, then you don't need to learn anything. You're fine by yourself. You know. But if you have some obstructions, that's when you'll be helped to overcome these obstructions. All right. Yeah. So that's why there's no the true nature of Chan training is really not stuck on actually methodology, but it's about molding your mind and releasing it from its inflexibility. If the mind is inflexible, it cannot adapt. It will die, it will harm you. If you're too inflexible, you break. Okay? So Chan training makes your mind more pliable. You can adapt. And that's the nature of wisdom. You face these challenges and you learn how to deal with them. Okay? That's all. Questions or comments? Yes, go ahead in black.
Hi, Master. So you're talking about having a flexible mind in education. The most recent thing that the last couple of years, they're emphasizing for all the different content, the idea of something called a growth mindset.
Sorry, what's the key word?
It's called growth mindset.
Okay.
So to be willing to continue trying and learn from mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I just thought,
Right. I like that approach, by the way, because it reminds us, educators or parents, if we care, then we should allow our children to fail. Cannot be overprotective. Okay? And we learn a lot more. I don't know about you, but I learn a lot more from my own failures than my success. If you're successful, it's nothing else. It's nothing to learn. You repeat the same success formula. So you repeat yourself. It's no more growth. It's you fail, that's when you must change in order to stop the failures. Okay? So life to me must be a combination of, personally, for me, more failure than success. Because that's how I grow. And I have no choice. I fail more often than I succeed. So yeah, that's the way it happened. Okay, and that's why, especially for children, the first thing I look for in children is that I want to make sure that we guide them towards goodness. Okay. Yesterday, the kid here who was very mischievous. He has no concept of respectfulness. Okay, a very bossy kid. Okay, that comes from the mother. So it's too early to teach him about respectfulness, but eventually, when they get a little bit older, when they need to learn from others, that's when you have to teach them about being respectful, because the good teachers will never teach students who are disrespectful. Okay, so the first thing you learn about, you need to train our students, especially in, that you have to be aware of that, somehow instill in your students, it doesn't matter, okay, what kind of background or what kind of religious beliefs or whatever, social status, whatever. If they want to learn from good teachers, the first thing you need to do is be respectful. Okay? Great teachers never bother wasting time with disrespectful students because they don't take instructions very well. Okay? Great learnings, great knowledge, great insights are contrary to what you know. It's contrary to conventional wisdom. That's why it's great. Yes, yellow.
Master, I was just wondering, in the past you said that Chan is pure land. So Anthony was just wondering how Chan meditation increases our chances of rebirth in the pure land.
It will increase your chances by making it easier for you to enter this Buddha recitation samadhi. That samadhi is basically another form of samadhi, and Chan excels at increasing your concentration power. To the point where the way we teach to Chan, if we increase your concentration to a level that's much higher than the Buddha recitation samadhi. That's our trick. I bring you to a level of samadhi much higher than the Buddha recitation samadhi. So when I bring you up here, okay, then I teach you, ask you to recite Buddha's name, you will enter this recitation samadhi. Naturally, eventually. Does it make sense? So that's why, that's at low level, you will find that as you practice Chan, you're able to concentrate better, and therefore you can recite the Buddha's name better. You recite mantras better, okay? So that's the process, the training. But at an advanced level, then you realize that Chan is no different from Pure Land at all. Well, that's very, very high level. I have no business talking to you about. Okay? Probably not this lifetime. For you. See, that's, I just offended him again, insulted him again. So I was saying, when people reach a certain age, we need to instill this respectfulness in them, okay, which is contrary to Western culture. Western culture is, I'm the same as you. Excuse me, you same as me? You're not as smart as I am. How can we be the same? Okay? So, oh, you smart and I am. I don't be the same as you. I can't. So you have to be respectful. And number two, the most important thing to me is that the kids have to choose to be a good person. Then you have nothing to worry about. If you worry about your children's future, okay, good things happen to good people. And bad things happen to bad people. It's a rule. It's a general rule of thumb. So you care about your children, want good things to happen to them, help them develop their good heart. How? By becoming a good person yourself. They learn from you, the goodness they learn from you and from their teachers. And you cannot count on teachers who get paid to teach about goodness. They have to worry about their promotions and their salary increases. So it has to be both. Hopefully your children will luck out and they find a teacher, a grandmother or a babysitter who is a good person and they rub it off. Or they go to school and they have a teacher who cares. Okay? Goodness is not, I say, I want to teach you about goodness. Goodness is taught by doing, by being, not by talking. You can talk all you want. They won't believe it. Okay? The goodness is acquired by two things. Would you like to know? Oh, never mind. You're adults already. You don't have to worry about that. Wei Mao.
Issue that came down on the national level. It was reported that on a train in and around Philadelphia this week, a rape occurred in full view of several passengers in the same car, and nobody interceded on behalf of the victim. In fact, people were shown videotaping the video on their phones of this horrible occurrence. And so my question is, what should a good Buddhist do in a situation like that if you were the onlooker?
What should we do?
Yes.
Is that the case in the news recently where a lady got molested on a train? And
Yes.
no one, they even took videos of that? No one lifted a finger to help her?
They took videos of her and nobody interceded on her behalf.
Didn't even call 911 or anything like that. Isn't that disgusting? Oh my goodness, is it a Democrat train or a Democratic train or a Republican train? Never mind. What are we supposed to do? There are all kinds of Buddhists, Mr. McBride. Okay? Not all Buddhists will have the same reaction. Well, I'll tell you what I do. I would intervene. It doesn't matter if at the cost of losing an arm or an eye or something. I would do something myself. Why is that? When I do things, it's not about being successful. Success is not that important to me personally. It's about doing what is right. Doing something that I must do, otherwise I will regret it later. Okay? I still have to live with that. The lady may be hurt, or maybe God may be able to get away with it and safely and so forth, and so forth. But I'm the one who also is a victim of that particular event. If I have to be there and watch her getting harmed, I don't do anything about that, then I am also a victim, like it or not. So whether I'm a victim that has no physical harm, well, I'm still a victim of my own failure, okay, as a human being. How can you see a person in trouble, in need of help, and only think of your own safety? If you're like that, how can you possibly love anyone? Only love yourself. You're incapable of love. Because you can only think of yourself. You a girl, I would not marry this guy. If you a guy, I would not marry this girl. Okay? So, if that happened to me, I would, even though I don't know Kung Fu, whatever, whether I can help or not, it doesn't matter. You have to do something to help. You have to get over, intervene, and say, hey, you have to stop, and so forth. Otherwise, that seeing her, watching her being hurt and doing nothing about it will do irreparable harm to your psyche, to your heart, and to your mind. You never forgive yourself deep down. Green.
Master, I think I'd be a little harder on myself. I think I would, if I had seen something like that, I would say if I didn't do anything, I'm just as bad as the perpetrator. If I don't do anything, then I'm agreeing with the perpetrator. If I don't do a single thing to help someone who's getting hurt, then it's part of my fault.
Very good. Yeah, you can rationalize it like In would explain to her pupils and so forth. But I don't operate like that. Okay. The first thing you do is that when you see someone like that, where I see something like that, okay, what I see is the pain of that that lady is undergoing, the suffering she's undergoing. Okay? Black, go ahead.
A Di Đà Phật, thưa Thầy, nếu con là phụ nữ mà gặp một cái cảnh bạo hành mà mình không có thể nào can thiệp ở bên ngoài được, thì lúc đó con có thể trì thủ nhãn để giúp cho nạn nhân hay không? Thí dụ như là thủ nhãn số 33 là dùng cái tích trượng để che chở cho chúng sanh.
No, beat up on her. Don't protect her. Just beat up on that guy.
So, Master, I have a question that if I see a scene that with violence, things like that, and then physically I cannot do anything to help. So, can I recite a hand and I to help the victim, for example, number 33, to protect the victim?
For you personally, absolutely. You are allowed to use any of those tools to help her. Okay, this is why you're at the level right now where you are supposed to use those tools. Below your level, you shouldn't use those tools. Okay, but in your case, yes, you're allowed to use those. This is why we taught you those tools, so that one day when you reach a certain level, you should use those tools in order to help others without getting in trouble. Okay? Below, at lower levels, when you use those tools to help others, it's a lot more involved and you can't do much. And then you're gonna get some repercussions that you may not be able to handle. So, but in case of emergencies like that, I would also allow you to use those tools and come back to me and say, that's what I did. Please help protect me. Now I will protect you. Okay? Because it doesn't matter if we're a man or woman, Buddhist or non-Buddhist. Again, it's all kinds of Buddhists, including here. Yeah, even though those of you are Buddhists, you're not the same Buddhists. Some of you are more Buddhist than others. So you can't say that I'm a Buddhist and I'm the same as my neighbor. No, you're all different. But what we have in common is that when we see people who is suffering, we cannot ignore that. That's not who we are. We need to do something to relieve the suffering. Okay? It's not just talk. You need to do something. Let's do something. Okay? Yes, Green.
Well, thank you, Master. I'm so glad that this is a discussion. And I just wanted to let folks know there's something called Bystander Training. And there's a group, it's dedicated to protecting Asian people from harassment and injury here in the U.S. They're called Holla Back. It's mostly young folks. But not to grandize myself, but I have actually interceded or interjected myself. And usually things are going on for quite a while. So that man may have been harassing that woman before it got physical. And I think because of Buddhist practice, I've been able to notice and in a skillful way, interject myself, which just totally changed the conversation. When the woman, so anyway, I don't need to go into details. I've done it about at least 3 times where different situations.
So what did you do exactly?
Pardon?
Did you karate chops or what did you do?
Well, I was in a situation where a woman was going to hit a child.
Yes.
And so she was yelling at the child. She was going, I'm going to hit you, I'm going to hit you. It was at the laundromat right on the corner. It was a while back, but I'm like, what do I do?
Here in this neighborhood?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a laundromat there's one on Lincoln.
Why didn't we tell them?
This is a while back. Someone was going to hit the child. The conversation was going on for quite a while, and I didn't know what to do. I just calmed down, and then I went up to the lady, and I said, could I do your laundry for you? I'm going to be here. Changed everything, Another situation, I was in...
How long ago? I'm curious.
Oh, it was a little while ago.
10 years?
A few years ago. And more recently, I was in
recently it's more interesting.
Okay, I'll tell you something more recent. I was in the 7-Eleven that's right here on Bird.
Yeah.
And I walked in and the clerk was talking to this young fellow, and I just figured they knew each other, because I wasn't really paying attention. Then I noticed they're arguing. Then I noticed I was getting very uncomfortable. The clerk was accusing the young man of theft. And the young man was saying, no, I didn't steal this hat. I was wearing it. And he was a minority. And, it just, anyway, what do? I was very,
The
very...
customer was a minority.
Yeah, and,
Okay.
and I was very, very uncomfortable. But it's like, what do I do? What do I do? So anyway, I walked up. I didn't know what to do. I just was rested in awareness, I guess. First of all, I noticed that was going on because, and I thank Buddhist practice. Then I knew I didn't know what to do. I rested in awareness. I went up to the young man and I said, excuse me, when you're accused of theft in the state of California, the law is in a shop, they've got to talk to you privately. I go, if this turns into something, here's my business card. I will stand up for you.
What do you do? What do you do?
Oh, I have a kind of a various background. I know the law. And
You're a legal person?
yeah, I have accreditation that had a lot of legal background. I'm a CPA, and part of our training is knowing business law.
Okay.
Anyway, so that just changed the conversation. A guy was walking down the street, another recent one where he's bleeding, this older gentleman. He's walking down the street, and people aren't noticing. Big cut, older guy, blood. It was kind of before Halloween, and First I thought he was Halloween costume, and then I realized he was injured, and people were either ignoring him or just going, oh, and it really, so I went up to him, he's walking, and I go, sir, are you okay, And he was ignoring me, he was really bleeding. The people my age, anyway, I finally got a young person to dial 911, but I mean, I think it's important the noticing, like on that train, maybe there was arguing for a while. And just going up to the woman and saying, hey, lady, are you okay? Shall I get a conductor? That would have maybe changed it. So I'm not saying this just anyway. I probably am talking too much, so feel free to
Okay.
comment
Very
or whatever.
good. Anyone else? Okay. I hope you have the answer that we can't stand by. It's not right to do nothing. Okay? Where is our conscience? When people need help, we got to do something. Wei Mao.
Hi, I have been in many situations, especially in my area that I work. But one thing that I understand really well is to be aware of your surroundings. Make sure that other people are not hurt, or the person that is hurt is not that confused. And especially in my area, I need to know if the person is under the influence of any drugs, and make sure that they really want to go to the hospital. So after that, after I'm aware everything's fine or okay, I'm in a good situation, I proceed to call 911. If the person wants to go to the hospital, then they go to the hospital. If not, they just continue what they continue to do.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your input. We all have coming from different backgrounds where you have different ways of more effectively handling the situation. What I'm just brought up is just the fact that even before that, whether you're able to handle it or not, or train to handle the situation or not, I'm just considering your conscience. When you see people in need, when they're in pain and suffering and need for help, we got to do something. Especially when there's such a real emergency right there. You can't just stand by and videotape it and post it on your Facebook page. Okay, that's not right. Okay, we should do something to help. Try to do something to help. It's beyond success or failure. It's just that we're talking about your human conscience. How can we possibly, as a human being, ignore that? That's baffling to me. Okay? Yes, go ahead, the old monk. Orange.
A Di Đà Phật, con thấy văn hóa nào cũng có cái như thầy nói đó, tức là mình binh vực người yếu, hoặc là thấy người nó mắc nạn mình không có làm ngơ. Thì ngay cả con vật cũng vậy, nó thấy cái con yếu nó bị nó tiếp nhau. Chẳng hạn cách đây khoảng 10 mấy năm á, con đem thả con vịt mẹ vào một bầy vịt con, ở cái phạt ở Sacramento á, nó kẹt trong, người ta dí nó bắt nó thì con dành con sinh con đem ra phạt con thả. Bởi vì con còn nhỏ lắm thì thả xuống, mọi người trong phạt đều đứng vô nhìn rất là thích. Thì nó chạy lủng đủng con theo vịt mẹ nó xuống cái ao, cái hồ xung quanh đó đó. Thì tự nhiên mọi người đang vui vẻ vậy thì có con quạ trên cây lớn trên nó đáp xuống, nó bắt một con vịt con, nó bay đi. Thì mọi người đứng đều rất là ngạc nhiên, là rất là worry mà không biết bây giờ làm sao. Thì tự nhiên có con vịt khác trong cái đảo, trong cái hồ đó, nó bay lên nó đụng con vịt, đụng con quạ, cái rớt con vịt con xuống. Mọi người đều vỗ tay là chuyện nó qua. Thì rõ ràng con vật nó cũng có cái lòng từ bi, nó thương cái con yếu. Thì văn hóa Mỹ cũng vậy thôi, không có phân biệt Mỹ Á gì cả. Chúng ta coi những cái phim, những cái người cao bồi đó, những thành phố bị cướp trộm này, có những người thanh niên anh hùng ra là dẹp cái cướp đó, giúp cho cái cộng đồng đó, rồi họ bỏ đi không cần cảm ơn. Những hình ảnh rất đẹp. Thì chúng ta có cái Đạo Phật cho chúng ta một cái cô nhẫn dịch đi.
Master, I think like our nature is like we usually help the weak and then help the one that's in need. So this one also apply to the animals too. So I remember like 10 plus year ago, I rescued a duck mother and some of the duckling. And then I brought to the park, release it at the pond, and then a lot of people see it, they like it, they watch it, and then suddenly there was a crow. A crow just appeared and then grabbed one duckling and flew away. And people were so worried, they didn't know what to do. And then you know what? Suddenly there was another duck that an adult duck flew over, hit the crow, and then make the crow release a duckling. So you see, even with the animal realm, they also have that kind of compassion and helping the one that's weak, the one that need help. And then I saw on the movie, especially the movie about the cowboy, they just appear and help the poor, the weak people, and then after they're done, they left without expecting people thanks them or reward them or whatever. So those are very beautiful things that I admire.
And that's the kind of movie I would show my children too, because they learn from watching others do it. They learn from good stories. Okay, great movies. I would highly recommend it.
Một câu chuyện khác là ở Mỹ này, cách đây khoảng lúc con còn học đại học, con có thấy một câu chuyện là báo đăng đó. Những cái đội banh mà của Mỹ đó, trong cái phòng là trong phòng thay quần áo đó, thì có đứa bé khoảng đâu 4-5 tuổi gì đó, thì bị một cái anh trong cái đoàn đó đó, anh đó như là cái gì đó, kêu bằng cái gì đó, thì ảnh hiếp đứa nhỏ đó và ảnh bẻ cổ chết. Thì có một sinh viên Mỹ đó, họ thấy cảnh đó mà ảnh không có lên tiếng. Ảnh không có lên tiếng thì sau này chiếc camera ra đó, thì ảnh ra tòa, ảnh trắng án. Lý do là luật pháp của Mỹ đó, chúng ta không có phải bị can thiệp và không có trách nhiệm. Nhưng mà cái anh này về trường trở lại thì cả trường tẩy chay ảnh và phải bỏ trường, không có học nữa. Cả sinh viên trong trường người ta tẩy chay. Thì cái đó là gì? Là lương tâm. Chúng ta không có thoát được lương tâm được. Và câu chuyện thứ hai là bên Trung Quốc, cũng mới đây thôi. Đứa bé đi lẩm đẩm ra khỏi nhà mà cha mẹ không hay. Qua đường thì xe cán chết. Thì mọi người đi ngang là làm thinh bỏ đi thôi. Coi như không có chuyện gì xảy ra. Thì cái bà quét rác, bà thấy ba la lên thì mọi người trong nhà chạy ra, thì cha mẹ ra thì đứa nhỏ đã chết rồi. Thì tùy theo cái tâm lý mỗi người, chứ không có xã hội nào mà ủng hộ cái chuyện ác như vậy hết. Rồi cá nhân con đi làm, con thấy ở Úc Linh một cái cô thiếu nữ da trắng rất trẻ, lại cái máy ATM rút tiền. Thì xung quanh 5-6 cô cũng trẻ, người da đen. Không biết cãi nhau cái gì mà con nghe cái cô Mỹ chửi mấy người da đen rất là nặng. dùng cái từ negro đồ chửi rất là nặng. Thì con nghĩ chờ một hồi thế nào mình cũng chứng cái cảnh mà không chịu nổi rồi. Con mới năn nỉ cô da trắng thôi, stop it, slow down. Nhưng mà không được. Thì 5-6 cô da đen xung quanh trẻ không, thì mà cái vùng đó dùng da đen nữa thì cái cô này chỉ có chết chứ bị thương thôi. Thì lúc đó con phản ứng nhanh là con cứ Nam Mô Quan Thế Bồ Tát. Khoảng 1-2 phút vậy đó thì mọi chuyện nó êm hết. Thì cái đó là một cái pháp môn Đức Phật dạy mình trong pháp môn đó. Một lần khác con áp dụng Sài Gòn là một số chư tăng mà giả tăng đó, đi ngoài đường rồi không biết nói sao mà 5-6 bạn hàng đó lấy mấy cây mía bu quánh ổng. Thì con nói Phật ơi, cái này không thể đánh một vị tăng mà áo vàng giữa chợ như vậy được. Thì tự nhiên biết mà bị cách rất xa, con lại gần không được, xe rất là đông. Thì tự nhiên mấy bả liệng mấy cái mía xuống rồi mọi chuyện xảy ra không biết thế nào. Thì lúc đó theo tôi đó, quý vị nên dùng cái người nào đạo Chúa đó, quý vị niệm Chúa hoặc là mẹ Maria hoặc là bên đạo Phật mình kêu Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát rất là hiệu nghiệm. Xin hết.
There's also a piece of news like I read long time ago when I was still in college, and then so basically there was a case that a kid, 4 or 5 years old kid, was raped and was killed, and then a student witnessed it, but he didn't really say anything. But then later on, they checked the security camera, they saw the whole thing happen. But then because of the law in the U.S., you don't have to intervene or whatever, so that student can get away with it. But then after the case was over, the whole school boycotted that student. So in the end, he couldn't stay in that school anymore. He couldn't study. So in the end, like, doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong, but then you still have to face your conscience. And then another thing I saw, like in a few things that happened, like personally, I witnessed like there was an argument between the white lady with 4 or 5 black women, and then they was like arguing back and forth. I tried to intervene because I saw that this white lady, Caucasian lady, she's by herself, and then if it continued to carry on like that, she offended the other black lady, she will get in danger. But then when I tried to intervene, they didn't listen to me. So I quietly resigned Namo Quan Shin Pusa, and then it eased the situation, and then they stopped the fight. And then there's another thing, like one time I was in Vietnam, and then I saw that a few lady in the market, they was attacking a monk. This monk, probably he was a fake monk, but that doesn't matter. I saw that some lay woman tried to beat up a monk wearing a yellow robe, and then I saw that's not a good thing happen. Doesn't matter whether he's a real one or a fake one. So and I was far away, I couldn't intervene, so I prayed to the Buddha, and those ladies stopped the fight. So the bottom line is, like, doesn't matter if you are a Catholic, you can pray to God, Mother Mary, or if you are a Buddhist, you can pray to Kuan Yin Bodhisattva to help with those situations.
Very good. Good discussion. Thank you, Brady, for bringing up the topic. We stop here today, and let's go to lunch.